awfully nice to have you. It's our community, and we have somebody else that you need to meet that's our neighbor, and her name is Sherry Kuehl. Hi, Sherry.
Hi.
And Sherry is an author and a blogger, but I've decided you're not an author, you're a blother.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I trademark that.
Yes. I thought that was pretty good myself.
It's a good word.
She has a blog called Snarky. And if I am correct, you get about 500,000 hits a year?
Yeah, it depends. It depends. If you blog a lot, you get more hits. When you get really busy and you don't blog a lot. So yeah, about there, yeah.
I think that's a lot of whatever you want to call them, friends or bloggers or... You know, I never realized, and I got to be honest with you, because maybe I'm sort of elderly, I don't know, but I didn't realize that people had that kind of time to sit and look at the TV and follow a blog and on the internet. And
no, you're not alone, because when it was suggested that I start a blog, I was like, yeah, right, because I'm not a loser. I mean, I was like, who blogs? I mean, you know, I just didn't get it. And so then I did it, and you know, people are always looking for content.
Why?
So,
what are they not doing? Why do they have that kind of time? That's what I don't know.
It's like people that read, then you know, you're reading.
I guess. See, the times changed. The world has changed, and we've gone from. I got to have the newspaper. I'm sorry, but I just have to have the newspaper.
The physical copy of the newspaper.
Yes. But people your age and younger, they want the social media has taken up. They either Twitter or tweet or whatever it is, and they blog but they contact each other on the internet or on, you know, technology.
Yeah, it's a brave new world.
It is, and it's so different. But only on the internet it occurs to me that somebody can be lonely and popular at the same time.
True. Very true.
I mean, I think because...
And people that are lonely get a lot of blog hits, because nothing's going to get you more blog hits than whining. Because people, you know, they'll either comment and cheer you up or they'll commiserate with you.
Is that what, does Snarky whine?
Snarky does not whine. Snarky in the Suburbs is not a whiner. She's a doer.
She's a doer.
She's a pot stirrer. She believes in that revenge is best served with cupcakes. So yeah, she's a doer, not a whiner.
Well, we're gonna take a look at Snarky in just a minute, but I think, what is it? Is it a now these are 500,000 people. There are all kinds of people.
Mostly female.
Mostly female. What age do you know?
I only know because Facebook, on my Facebook page, Snarky in the Suburbs, Facebook will track ages. So the primary age is childbearing, women with school-age children, because that's what I write about. So it's 34 to 49.
But they're home.
Some are home, some work. I mean, I have people tell me they read me on the phone while they're waiting for the kid to come out of out of school, or they read it on Saturday where they're sitting at the basketball or volleyball game. So
Well, is there a common denominator?
No, there is not. There is not. I have stay-at-home moms, homeschool moms. I have moms with sound like very exciting careers, and I'm extremely jealous. So it's a broad spectrum. I have guys. I have some grandmas. They go, I remember.
But truly, the closest to a common denominator is gender.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. It just fascinates. The whole thing fascinates me. How'd you get into this business of blogging?
I'm a broadcast journalist by trade. We had just moved from Reno, Nevada to Kansas City. When we had moved the other times, because we've moved a lot for my husband's job, always had a kid like starting kindergarten or starting preschool. And so you make immediate friends, because as a mother, you're starting this journey together with other moms. When we moved here, my daughter was starting 5th grade, fourth grade, my son was starting 8th grade. It's hard to break in. It was very hard to find a way to get in and
particularly in
make
broadcast
friends.
journalism, the hours are long for the most part. You're new in town. You didn't know too many people.
So I was writing emails to friends back in Reno, and a couple of them go, this is pretty funny, you should do a blog. And that's when I said, yeah, not. So I asked my husband, and he's like, if it's going to mean you are complaining less to me, then by all means, please put that in a blog format. So that's what I did, and I think the stories I tell struck a central theme with the every woman, and it caught on.
See, I also have this theory that the blogosphere, or whatever you want to call it, is the new neighborhood.
I would agree with that.
See, I don't think, it used to be that the kids all played out, you knew everybody in the neighborhood, and often you formed your friendships that way. But that's not true anymore. Kids don't always play out. A lot of the women either work or they're not home or they whatever. So the neighborhood and the neighborhood schools in many cities are kind of going away because they are closing up. They're doing different things.
I don't know. I think Snarky in the Suburbs, it strikes a chord with women because it's a safe haven. It's a place where you can say, I identify with this woman. It's, where they can comment, maybe under pseudonym, and nobody's going to know it's them, or they can, message me on Facebook and go, you cannot believe what happened to me today. So I think it's a place to vent.
But they think you care.
Well, I do care.
I understand.
If there is injustice, Snarky wants to know about it.
I know, but they think you do. I mean, that what causes them, I think, to comment. I also think that on a blog, people who are never asked what they think, how they feel, what they're doing, can be heard.
I agree. I was contacted by a publisher about starting a Snarky cookbook, so I just went on Facebook and my blog and said, I need recipes of all kinds.
I think we need to look at your blog. Can we do that?
Yeah. So
okay, we're gonna
fire
this thing up here.
I ask people for their opinions constantly. So like today it was the Snarky cookbook, and my favorite, we're gonna have a category called Bake Sale Throwdown. So I love that.
So that was just posted today.
That was just posted before I
Roll
came.
it up just a little bit so I can see the rest of it. Whoop, it's gone.
So it's back. Magic.
So you asked them. You said, have you gotten any answers yet?
I did it, and then I got in the car. So
okay, there we go. Let me look at the cookbook again. Go back up.
So, and they're supposed to send. We have a site, snarkytestkitchen@gmail.com.
Okay, so hang tight right there. And you said you got to get their Snarky on in the kitchen.
Get your Snarky on in the kitchen. That's right.
What is a snark?
You know, a Snarky means different things to different people. To me, Snarky in the Suburbs means a real way of looking at this journey that we're going through with motherhood and raising children. Some people think Snarky is mean. It just depends.
Snarky says what she thinks.
I think so, yes. Yes.
And some people are not used to that.
I would never want to hurt anybody's feelings. I would never be rude. I was raised in the South. My mother would tan my hide if I was just, offensive to somebody, that kind of thing. But she seeks for, truth, justice in the Snarky way. Yes, most definitely.
Okay, let's look at some of the other
I started doing a Dear Snarky, and that's on the
Talk about God Made a Snarky Mom.
That was my take on the Super Bowl commercial, So God Made a Farmer. And it was with I think it was Dodge Ram they did, and Paul Harvey does a voiceover. We don't know who wrote it. Paul Harvey just voiced it. So it was kind of my parody of So God Made a Snarky Mom.
I noticed you have a Dear Snarky. Is that kind of an Ann Landers kind of thing?
Every Friday I go on KCTV, it's Channel 5, on their show Better Kansas City, and yes, people send me letters and I answer them. That is my advice. It's 21st century advice.
I see. Well, it seems to me that this whole thing is an evolution. Do you remember Irma Bombeck?
I do. I remember my mom reading Irma Bombeck from
that's
Tours at the
what
Breakfast
was it?
Table.
Please don't plant daisies on the septic tank. But she did sort of the same thing that you're doing, but it was in book form because that was before she was a commentator as well. And then we went to Ann Landers and Dear Abby in a little different form, but sort of the same. And now we have people like Tina Fey. I mean, she comments too as a comedy writer, and you have humor, but in humor there is truth and often sadness.
Yes, and to even put me in the same paragraph as Tina Fey, not worthy. Totally, not. Yes, I think there's definitely truth and humor and truth. I think it's funny because it's true. That kind of thing.
Well, it is. That's right. And people, if you can laugh at unpleasantness or unhappiness, maybe it makes you feel better. I don't know.
Or we're all in this together.
We're all in, but that's the way those 500,000 people feel. They don't feel like a member of a group. They feel like an individual talking to another individual. I really believe that.
That's great if they think that.
Well, they must, or they wouldn't.
That's great.
They wouldn't hit the whole thing. Let's look at some of the other things that you're doing.
So,
what's been the most successful? Find your snarky.
The most successful post I've done lately was last week. I did a post I reposted because I got so many comments, people complaining about school drop-off, which is a nightmare. It should be an IQ test for every parent. If you can't master school drop-off, then you need to go back to remedial parenting, and your mom card gets pulled until you can do it. It was an idiot's guide to dropping your kids off at school, and in 1 hour it got 10,000 hits. Because it was just shared and shared and shared and shared, because everybody can relate to the idiocy of pulling up to a school and letting your kid get out. Because there's all these minefields between when you hit that school and then when you drive away. The parents I call it, one of the things was, if you're going to make out with your kid, park and then make out. It's the mom that has to kiss all her kids, and then she gets out and has to hug all her kids, and then she has to put the backpack on. It's like, if your kids can go to first grade, they know how to unbuckle a seatbelt and put a backpack on, and you doing it for them is just messing up their fine motor skills. I mean, it's just, and it's the person that is always in a hurry, that's honking, that thinks they're more important, because their car costs more, so they're just going to get in front of you, and it's all that. It's a slice of life. It's a dichotomy of our society, the school drop-off. Trust me on this one.
Yeah, but the whole thing is a dichotomy of our society. The whole blog is.
Yes, because I complain about everything, which is a commentary on probably me and the fact that I probably need therapy, lots of it.
But I don't think you're alone. If that's the case, I mean, there are a lot of us with cankles.
Oh, gosh. Oh my gosh. And no one in my family knows where my cankles came from. No one knows. I have mystery cankles.
I see.
If you go down the family tree, and where's that on Ancestry.com? Trace your cankles.
Well,
where's that?
But you do have drawn a line in the sand. I said, can we see? And you said no.
My cankles are not for public viewing. I will not be shamed.
Let me ask you this. How do you think of what to put on there? Because you change that blog, every day?
Oh, no. And I wish I had time to do it every day. Right now, I'm working on my second book, so I don't have time. You kind of get in that book zone. I don't have time to hit the blog.
And that's 2 weeks in Texas?
Yes. Snarky goes back to Texas for spring break, and this is where you meet her family, because everything's bigger in Texas, including the crazy. And it's
Is this really your family? Uh-oh. Did I ask the wrong question?
Yes, it's my mother. For sure. Yes, yeah. Oh my gosh. She's a pistol.
Well,
oh my gosh, yeah.
But she's not probably the only pistol. In other words, there are a lot of mothers out there that
No, and she belongs to this crazy group called the Friday Girls Club. Because I go, why don't you just do the red hat? She goes, who looks good in red and purple? Who wants to do that red hat? So they have their own little group, and they're all crazy, but in a good way. I mean, yeah.
Do they play cards? What do they do?
They go to lunch and talk about everybody. So, which is, my kind of lunch, quite frankly.
I was going to say, you need to get more ideas from these girls. When you wrote this book, you asked your, what do you call it, your bloggers, your fellows out there, to proofread it.
I did, because I am horrible. I mean, I think it's hard to proof anything you write. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings that's currently in the broadcast journalist industry, but we're all idiots, basically. Because if we can read it into a microphone, it's fine. But when it comes to like the print version, commas, what's that? I don't need a comma. I'm reading it. If I can read it, it's fine, which is very bad when you are writing something
Now,
for
you
print.
picked 40 people, right?
I had over 400 people in about an hour volunteer. So that overwhelmed me. So I'm just, okay, there's 21 chapters, the first 21 people, people were sending me their curricula vitae. I'm a professional. And then the bad thing is, though, then I still had to go in and make their changes, and then I screwed that up. So, and then I had to go back once the book was published and correct the changes I didn't catch.
Were those 40 people good? Did they do a good job?
Yeah, and it was hard for them because they couldn't, you can't change the tone of the story. They had, I was an idiot. I had tenses wrong where because then I wrote chapters out of sequence, so it has to be as it's happening, but I was writing, like, one chapter be written in the past tense. Yeah, these people were angels.
Maybe you're the new James Joyce, the stream of consciousness.
So, yeah, stream of something. But I will tell you, Snarky 2 Weeks in Texas is going to be sent, and it will be professionally proofed.
Well, let's back up to Snarky in the Suburbs. Now, Snarky in the Suburbs is your first book.
Right, back to school.
Yes.
Right.
What caused you to do this? This is a big undertaking to write a book.
I
think the cover of the book's up on your blog, isn't it?
Okay, yeah, let me find it. Thankfully,
pull it up.
I'm very, one thing being a TV reporter is you have to produce a couple of stories a day, so it makes you write really quickly. So, you know.
I think it's over on this side.
The finale.
I think it's over on the side. It's kind of an aqua color, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it.
So I can't scroll and
Well,
talk.
Let's go back to this 10,000 or 400 people in an hour or a half hour that said they'll have you proofread. What do they do? Just sit there and wait for something to come up? Or they get a
and then I went and told everybody, okay, I picked the first 21 people. If you don't get an email from me, you know, that's it. I wish 400 people had bought my book in an hour. That did not happen, but I wished it had, you know.
Did you self-publish this book? No.
I did, and I'll tell you why. Because
Why?
my agent and my entertainment attorney in Los Angeles said there is no, and self-publishing is great because it totally levels the playing field. There's no advantage in going with a publisher. I wanted to get the book out. Agent goes, I can send it off. We can go the literary circle, but it's not going to happen this fast. And I just wanted to get it out.
Well, but you have control over it too.
Yeah, and that's probably good and bad. It probably, I mean, you know, if who knows? I mean,
Is it only available on Amazon?
No, it's Amazon and the Nook, and you can buy also a paperback copy.
Locally?
No, you have to buy it through Amazon.
Okay. Well, see, but I think that if you can do that, because I like to interview local authors, and often I have a terrible time finding their book because the local bookstores don't keep them up. They'll have none, or maybe they'll have one, or they'll order you one and it takes a whole week to get it.
Yeah, I mean, you can go on Amazon, you can get it tomorrow.
Get it right away.
But my issue is, my people found me digitally. They read me online. People are buying the book online. So I had no problem, just, you know, Kindle, Nook, I mean, and I was kind of reticent about doing a hard copy because I'm like, really?
I have a Kindle.
So, but I did.
Is it selling?
Yes. Thank you. Thankfully, yes.
I think that's just great. I have to say that from this book and your blog, ABC called you.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if you wanted it to happen, it never would have happened. There was a TV producer. She had found out about my blog through a friend on Facebook. She was in her carpool line picking up her kids in Encino, California, and she's reading the blog on her phone. And she's like, every single blog reads like a sitcom. So she emails me, because I have Snarky in the Suburbs email, which is on my blog, and I thought that my kids were messing with me, like were punking me. I'm like, really? So I respond back, I go, hey, if you're messing with me, not funny, and I'll find you and hurt you. So we went back and forth. She's like, no, really? And Google me. I'm like, oh, anybody can say, you know, I can, you know, Google whatever. Went back and forth, had some, you know, kind of goofed around with each other. And then I called her the next day, and she had worked with producers of Friends, had worked on Friends. I mean, she knows her stuff. And she got the ball rolling till it got optioned by ABC in the fall.
Do you think it's going to happen?
You know what? It's one of those things. Anything could happen and nothing could happen. There's so many variables.
Just so if nothing happens, you're not going to jump out the window.
No, because, I took my husband's advice, and he's like, just enjoy the ride. It's your middle-age adventure. Just enjoy the ride. So that's what I'm doing.
Is this the ride before the wrinkles? Yeah.
So, I mean, just it's been fun. And as a mother, it's great to go somewhere and be in these meetings with, like, you know, the vice president of ABC Comedy, and, you know, and be treated with, you know, oh my gosh, pinch, 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 you know. It's just, it's bizarre.
It's kind of nice to be carried around on a pillow.
So, well, that didn't happen, but it's just,
it may.
You know, and it's nice.
It is.
Because day in and day out, as a mother, you get zero respect. You know, it may be your dogs.
Yeah, the dog is very
But,
pleasant
you know, day
most
and
of
you
the
get
time.
nothing.
Well, the dog is pleasant most of the time, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Let me ask you that, have you met any interesting people on the blog that what are some of the really interesting responses that come to mind that you've had?
The weirdest thing is the connection you have with people, and you have people that comment a lot. And this lady that started reading my blog when I first started doing it 2 years ago, she became very ill with cancer, and she's kind of in the battle of her life right now. But I feel like I know her, and even on my Facebook page said, you know, she was having surgery last week. She's like aortic cancer. I never even knew there was such a thing as that.
That's not good.
Yeah. So, you know, to, you know, have her in your thoughts. And I'm like, I've never met her. She's a Texas gal from Plano, Texas. I go, I feel like I know her. I couldn't pick her out of a crowd, but I feel like I know her. To me, that is the magic of the internet. You know, and having like ABC, somebody, a TV producer, to see your blog on her phone, magic of the internet. Would not have happened without the internet.
How do they find it if they don't know it's there? How do you, is it a file cabinet of blogs that you go through? How do they find you?
Facebook, really. I think social media plays a huge part. Somebody will see
So
it
they'll
on
find you on
Facebook,
Facebook,
and they'll
and
share it with their friends, and it's just, you know,
It's just
like a giant Ponzi scheme.
But see,
from Twitter to Facebook to this to that.
See, it really is. But see, what really interests me is that in an impersonal medium, which really it is, it becomes very personal.
Yes.
And I don't understand what causes that to be, and I don't know. You never hear that person's voice. You never see that person. You only know about them what they want you to know.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's fascinating. And see, that just tells you how the world is a-changing.
It's like 17% of marriages now were people that found each other on internet dating sites.
Yeah, and I think to myself, my gosh, I think maybe Jack the Ripper would pop up. How do you know? And I see, I wouldn't do that. But young people today, that's how they meet people, because they work long hours, they're busy, and that's the way they do it. So the impersonal becomes personal in the world in which we live.
Yes.
Yeah. What is your favorite blog that you put up there? Comment. What has Snarky done that you thought was really peachy keen, as they say?
I guess my favorite one, I think it was a 5 or 6 parter. I wrote it about this time last year, called Undercover Snarky. It's where she helps a group of moms at another school take down the PTA. It was fun because, you know, you don't know these women. You don't have to see them every day. You got to be careful how you deal with people you're going to see every day. But if you can go in and you can help a bunch of women, and you're not going to have to deal with that PTA because your kids don't go to that school, delicious.
So you
much fun.
You find your voice if you don't have to look at them or meet them or see them.
So, I mean, it's just like, if, you know, people you see every day, you got to be,
well, you got to be a
little bit careful.
Yes. Well,
you know,
that's true.
and you want your kid to be invited to a birthday party ever
That's
again.
right.
So
That's
you
right.
got to be careful about that. But yeah.
So how do you take down the PTA?
You just hit them where it hurts. So
At the annual fair and auction?
So well, I mean, the PTA or the PTO or the PFA, whatever you want to call it, it's interesting. I've been on some great PTA boards and PFA boards. It's the power struggle to me is very, very interesting. Because things go on. I'll ask my mom, hey, did this happen when I was a kid, or did this happen? And my mom will tell me, I was not that vested in you when you were growing up. She had 4 kids in 5 years. She goes, I was not that involved in your life. Now, as mothers, we are so involved in every minutia of our child's daily life. It's very, very different. And I will get on the, you know, any step of any high school or junior high in the country and go, it's the mothers that have created these mean girls. And because the mothers are so involved in their daughter's life, they have created these mean girls. Mom, look in the mirror. Your mean girl daughter is your fault. I mean, I will say that. It's because we are overly involved in our children's lives.
Well, we've also created the fact that our children grow up too fast as well, because they become cheerleaders in cheerleader costumes in the 5th grade or younger. And to me, they know too much too soon and practice what they know without a license often.
So, and once again, I believe it's because the mother is too vested and too living through that child.
Well, everybody needs to be popular, you know.
You know, I've told my kids the best thing they can be is unpopular, because that means they're doing everything right. But popular back in the day, my daughter had explained this to me, because I thought popular meant everybody liked you. And she's like, oh no, that's not popular. She goes, no, popular is totally different now. It's kind of the girl everyone's afraid of. So it's very, or the, you know, it's very, very different. So, you know, and so when I talk about parenting, my mother's just aghast, because it's so very different.
It's very different. And I guess that's why as you get older, you can't have any more children. You know.
So, I mean, she never
I definitely don't
volunteered up at our school. She goes, why would I want to volunteer at your school? School's when I got rid of you. Are you kidding me? Why would I want to go up there? You know, I'm just like, yeah. I mean, she went on a few field trips. Maybe.
Well, she wasn't disinterested, but she wasn't overly interested.
No, I mean, mothers just did not live up at the school. I mean, at my kids' school, the moms have cubbies where they put their stuff. They're up there so much.
Well, so how do you parent? Do you go up to school? You've been on the PTA board, yeah?
You know, I am not the paragon of parenting, and no one should copy my parenting style. And I'm not saying that at all, at all. I'm an older parent. I had my kids later in life, good and bad. You know, I don't know.
Is either child a blogger?
No, and they don't want to hear about it and think it's ridiculous. So my son will give me tech support when asked, but yeah, they just think it's, yeah, ridiculous.
Well, but it's better than having lunch and gossiping.
So, you know, it's a hobby. It's cheaper than scrapbooking. I've got all this, it costs me nothing, so there you go.
What are you going to do next? You're going to keep on blogging? Going to write more books? What are you going to do?
I'm going to finish my Snarky in the Suburbs 2 weeks in Texas. I've got my Snarky cookbook coming out. I'm doing a line of Snarky gear, like Snarky t-shirts, Snarky just all this stuff. I have Snarky e-cards with, so it's kind of taken off.
But it's a whole business.
It is a whole business
See,
that I try not to take too seriously.
I understand that, but you're like all these other smart women. If they can't find the right job, they create one. And you have done just that, Sherry. And I think it's a lesson for all of them out there, all of us. I don't know, I keep thinking I'm going to retire, but it doesn't happen. So I guess we're all looking. I found this quote, and it says, yes, blogging is entertainment. It's a performance. Each blog, post, and a show. Sometimes an opera, sometimes a 30-second commercial. Like a show, it may start with a bang, lead you along from song to song, have a great climactic moment, and then leave the audience wanting more.
Well, that's a very good quote.
Snarky is just that, and I say, go get 'em, girl. Thanks for being with us. Thank you. It's just a real pleasure to meet all of our neighbors because it is our community, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.